Welcome to the ExecMBA podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, we welcome back some old friends, Jonas Porcar-Ferrer and Bhavin Patel. We recently caught up with Jonas and Bhavin via Zoom to record the final episode. Yes, it's hard to believe, but the final episode in our ongoing conversation about their experience as executive format students at Darden. It's hard to believe that this is the end, but I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. So without further ado, here's my interview with Jonas Porcar-Ferrer and Bhavin Patel. Jonas, Bhavin, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Brett, how are you?
Doing well. So great to have both of you here. It's hard to believe this is the end. We made it. 21 months, 6 podcast episodes, and this one more to go.
One pandemic in the middle. Yeah, it really feels strange and incredible that we've made it. I mean, it feels like yesterday when we started recording this podcast, and at the same time, I don't know, Bhavin, but it feels. It feels like it's gone like really fast, but at the same time, like thinking about February or March, where we're like, and at the beginning of all what is happening out there. It feels like years ago, so it's like a paradox. I don't know. I know you feel the same, but for me, it's like that.
Yeah. Hey, Fred. Nice to be here talking to you and Jonas again. And hopefully we'll have more podcasts in the future on a different topic. But it's both. It's bittersweet, right? It's coming to an end. But the journey has been super exciting.
Well, I think we planned this out last time I saw you in person in Roslyn. We had planned to do this in Charlottesville. Unfortunately, COVID-19 had other plans, and so we're recording this via Zoom. And it's great to have this final time with you and look back and reflect on the program and the impact of the program. But before we get into all of that, I want to just check in and see how you're doing. Jonas, how are you holding up?
I'm doing good. Working from home, it's for me, my life hasn't changed that much. I was working a lot from home before all this started, but of course, I'm from Spain, and I used to travel like maybe every 2-3 months to see friends and family, also because I work for a Spanish company, so that has stopped. But yeah, it's adjusting to this new life and this new way of interacting with people, and really hoping that things get back to the new normal or whatever normal it is in a very short time. And yeah, but fortunately I've been healthy. My family has been healthy, and my friends also. So yeah, I'm thankful for that.
Bhavin, how are you and your family doing? You doing okay?
Yeah, everybody's doing well. Obviously, we have been spending a lot of time on Zoom lately, and now it's, with the free time that I have, we'll get into it. But I found a couple of different ways to, keep myself busy and just trying to upskill myself as much as possible.
Yeah, Bhavin, I want to stay with you for this next question. How are you spending some of your free time? Anything that you're reading, watching, listening to these days?
Well, a couple of my classmates recommended Tiger King, Jonas included. So I watched a couple episodes. But on education front, and I feel like I haven't gotten a lot of time back. So while I'm home, I'm utilizing platforms like Udacity and Coursera to upskill myself. So I'm getting my AI product manager certification, and I'm also doing the AWS, Amazon Web Services, cloud certification. I have exam coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'm preparing for that. So for me, it's just a different type of content that I'm consuming now, but it's definitely a bit more relaxed.
How about you, Jonas? What are you doing these days with your spare time?
Well, I don't know about you, Bhavin, but it felt at the beginning, it felt really weird. Like I had some kind of withdrawal syndrome, or something like that. So as Bhavin, I've been I need learning. So I've been, checking out the videos to get an Amazon certification as well. I've been also reading books that I didn't have the time to read with all these cases in line. So, for example, I finished. I know you guys know. I'm sure you know him, Yuval Noah Harari, uh, this historian from Israel, and I really love his books. I just finished the 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, really good. And also, I'm watching Netflix, Tiger King, among other series. And the last thing that I'm really watching, really excited, is the Last Dance documentary on ESPN and Netflix on the Chicago Bulls in the 90s. When I love basketball, and I grew up in the 90s, and I had my bedroom full of posters of Michael Jordan and the Bulls. So it's really exciting to go back to that decade and see what was happening behind the scenes on that team.
Yeah, and actually, I'm with you, Jonas, there on withdrawal. I mean, in the first couple of days after LR2 ended, which was virtual, I was kind of sad that we weren't all there in person, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I did have withdrawal symptoms for a couple of days, and that's why I kind of started learning to kind of fill that void. And my wife was like, she was like, "Huh, like you just finished. Like, what are you starting again?" So all of our loved ones, families, they've also sacrificed during the past 21 months. So I also, obviously we can't go out to celebrate, any of our accomplishments and, make them, have a celebration with them, or classmates or loved ones. So it's kind of sad, but, anyway, we can recognize, everybody who's been a part of the journey. And I think that's what I'm, trying to do right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask what it's like. I mean, I've only been at an arm's length from the experience. I've never been a student in the program, but I have to imagine it is unusual to go from being really busy to all of a sudden having just this time, right? No more distance classes, no more weekend residencies, no more learning team meetings, no more cases to read, no more 15 to 20 hours of work per week on average. I mean, what's that like, Jonas, to shift from being extremely busy to just space?
Yeah, at the beginning it feels really weird because like, what's going on? No, it's you don't know exactly what to do, or you don't have a schedule, or you need to fill the time now with other activities. For example, I'm trying also to go back to old habits, or play. I used to play the guitar a little bit. I'm trying to go back to that, or do some more exercise. I joined Peloton. I bought like a stationary bike. So, trying to to fill your time, but it really feels very, very strange not just the learning experience, but also the interaction, the constant interaction with your classmates. We are still in touch. For example, in Peloton, we have this group. So we have a Slack channel that's still active, and we try to get together virtually to take Peloton classes, or some virtual happy hours. So try to keep the connection, but at the same time, it's true that it took some time until I adjusted to the new situation. And with all this new spare time that now I have to fill that with hobbies, and especially in these times of pandemic crisis, where you have to stay at home all this time. So it wasn't maybe the best moment to adjust, but at the same time, you find things to do, and new challenges, and so doing well.
Bhavin, one of the things that students often say is, as a result of the program, you kind of become used to a certain level of busy and having a certain amount on your plate. And you realize that you can do a lot more than perhaps you were doing before you started the program. And that's one of the things that can make it tricky to kind of like dial things back, right? All of a sudden you have this different sense of your own potential and capacity. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, that's the fine balance, right? Now that the program, has ended, we're celebrating, we're in the celebration mode, but watching a little bit of Netflix, doing other activities, right? It's all good, but it's also, I'm watching myself and making sure, I do kind of maintain some sort of ritual to not totally fall back to, pre-Darden habits. Because, obviously I've graduated because of the work that I put in, right? I would love to be able to continue to, just push myself, because we learn in our leadership coaching class that, the growth comes when you're just pushing yourself just a little bit, every day. So, if you challenge yourself too much, you may lose all the motivation to change, for the better. But if you just keep yourself on the edges, and just push yourself a little bit every day, it can really have profound results. So while I am trying to fill the void by doing some activities such as watching Netflix and catching up on things that I haven't been able to, I'm also being very careful, because once the habits are formed, they're very hard to break.
Yeah, I agree with Bhavin that one of the takeaways from Darden is that you get way more self-discipline. In terms of like, okay, your schedule is very tight, so you need to really plan things, and I'm also trying to to not lose that momentum. So yeah, trying to be productive, and for example, with all this, the readings or the certifications or the studying or what's next in my learning plan. So yeah, I'm also trying to leverage that momentum that we have after all these months working full time, and also going to the going through the program. So yeah, it's I don't want to lose that, and I know it's easy just to get lazy again, but yeah, it's one of my objectives too.
So I want to talk about quarter 10, the last quarter of the program. I took electives during this quarter. I want to talk about quarter 10. I want to talk about the second leadership residency, LR2. Let's start with quarter 10. Bhavin, we'll kick things off with you. So what classes did you take in Q10, as it is known?
Yeah, so I took leadership coaching with Connie Dunlop, starting new ventures with Saras, and marketing tech products with Raj, and all star professors here at Darden. Starting new ventures was something that I took, as the name implies. It's more entrepreneur focused on an entrepreneurship journey. I don't have a venture currently, but that's something I always wanted to explore a little bit. So I was really excited to take that class. And then marketing tech product was more focused on actually how do you because I'm interested in AI and machine learning and everything digital. I really wanted to understand how some of these tech companies are marketing products that they're developing. So just really excited that I got to take all the 3 courses.
How about you, Jonas? What electives did you take in Q10?
Well, I was with Bhavin in 2 of them. I was with him in marketing technology products, also because I'm a tech guy, and I mean we were very excited about going to San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and visit all this. I mean, the Apple, Google, etc. So we didn't go because of the COVID, but still we were able to put together a pretty good. I mean, all the speakers were able to connect through Zoom, so it was a really great experience. I also took the coaching course, which I also enjoyed a lot because I never been coached before, and I discovered like a discipline that is really helpful, and not just as a coachee, but also learning. At the end of the day, it's a technique that you can also use with your team, even within your family and with your friends. So it's a very interesting technique. So I'm glad that I took that course. And also I took the financial institutions and markets with Yorgos Alayanis. I enjoyed a lot. I probably my favorite professor at Darden. I know he's a rock star in the program as well. That where we went over, the institutions, the different, we studied also tech-related things such as blockchain or Bitcoin, but also we went through what happened in the crisis in 2008 and the importance of and how the markets are regulated and the different legislations, etc. And apart from these 3 courses, I decided to audit a 4th course. So I audited. That's one of the options you have at Darden, that you can also, not just take the necessary courses, which were 3 in my case, to fill the requirements, but I also audit other courses. So I was attending to the classes and doing all the exercises as any other student. So I took the investments. I audited investments, where we went over like portfolio management, how to structure how to balance the portfolio with bonds, with different stocks, etc. All the theory that's behind. Mathematical, etc. So yeah, I really enjoyed that a lot too.
No, it sounds like you both had really, really interesting courses to take. Let's talk about that marketing tech class that was going to go to San Francisco and then transitioned to virtual delivery. That was actually featured on the Darden Report as a news story. It seemed like that transition process happened pretty quickly. That because of what happened with COVID-19, you found out that you were going to have to deliver the class virtually, and the class very quickly changed to a virtual delivery model. Bhavin, was that your experience? So it seemed like just in a handful of days, everything quickly moved online.
Yeah, the situation was very fluid from the get-go, and everybody was, obviously very, very concerned. And a couple of us were really wanted to go, even with the scare and pandemic, rightfully so. But I think majority of us, obviously didn't want to go given the situation. And this was, early. This was early back in March. So the U.S. was still kind of climbing the curve, so it wasn't that bad as it is now. But within just a couple of days, the program team came back and really put together a nice course for us. Given that it was all going to be happening virtually, I think they had to make sure they account for all that, because when you spend 6, 7, 10, 8 hours on Zoom, at some point you kind of start to lose. Get fatigued and you start to lose value from the course. So, but the team did a great job in kind of structuring the course in a way where we were able to talk, have interactive conversation with many of the speakers, and also talk about many of the cases and companies that we originally intended to do. So I think overall it was a very nicely done, and so kudos to the team and the professor.
And Jonas, it sounds like y'all got to hear from some pretty incredible speakers. Do you want to share some of the highlights from that course?
Sure. Yeah. For me, being an electrical engineer, for example, I remember very well the talk that we had with one of the chief engineers at Apple. Well, of course, it's a very interesting case on innovation, one of the most innovative companies in the world, and the specific methodology, very unique that they follow. For example, I remember asking him about the AirPods, and because pretty much they revolutionized the Bluetooth Bluetooth headphones industry with this new approach of without cable. So he explained to me and to the rest of the class that what I mean. Of course, he couldn't get into some technical details that were like protected or confidential, but he also, I remember well what he told me about what motivated that change and the technology challenges that they had to face, and what really how they structure innovation at Apple, which is not as structured as we may think. But yeah, I think that was one of the highlights for me, and I really want to underline what Bobby said, that of course it wasn't the same thing as going to San Francisco and going to the Apple campus and Google, etc. But I mean, it was great that all the speakers were really very kind, and they really delivered the messages through Zoom, and it was a great experience overall. And the fact that the program pivoted really quick, that was really impressive. That in just a few days, they were like we completely reshape our calendar and completely reshape our agenda, and we were able to have a really enriching experience, a virtual experience.
Bhavin, starting new ventures is one of these really beloved elective courses. Saris, who teaches the class, obviously something of a legend, I would say, in the effectuation world. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that class and what you did? I think all students basically. She says that all students have to. Take steps towards starting a venture in that class. So at least that's my impression, anecdotally, from talking with students in it. Tell us what that class was like.
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct. It's more of an experiential course, so you don't have to be an entrepreneur, and you don't have to have a venture that's already in the works. And that was a good thing about it, right? Because if there was a qualifier, then I would obviously not be able to take the course. So Darden made it so that you don't have to have a venture in progress or even have an idea, but you should be able to come up with an idea, right, that you may want to pursue one day. And really be able to kind of pressure test that and just go through the whole journey of from the creation, having the idea in your mind, and then like what are the steps you would take, some of the tangible activities that one would need to focus on as they go and grow their venture. And I think one of the things that I liked about it is that we got to hear everybody, all the 50 60 students, all their ideas. Some of them are actually some of the individuals are actually working on their ventures. Some of us didn't have any venture, so we came up with an idea that we thought would be we'd be interested in pursuing. And one of the things I liked about that was we were able to provide feedback to each other during the class and after the class, as a part of certain activities. And also focus on some of the stuff that you use Google a lot when you're launching a company, such as like what is an LLC, right? Like what are the different types of LLCs, and like why would you go with one versus the other? It's not a legal focus, but it's more of a structure type of focus. And as you talk to other individuals who launched their own company or in in the process of launching it, you also get to hear from them. So you get it's almost like an incubator of sort, and you really get to bounce ideas off each other and talk about issues like not just legal, but like funding, growing in a high potential team of like stakeholders, and how do you go and find advisors, how do you motivate employees, and how equity ownership and control. So these are some of the things that we discussed in that class.
No, that's great. And I think, just talking with the folks at the Batten Institute, what they underscore is that, sure, entrepreneurship is an activity, but it's also a way of thinking, a way of approaching problems. Was that class helpful in terms of shifting how you think about solving business problems?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good thing. So because I didn't have an idea, right? So I got to pick an idea, and I executed on that. So it definitely gave me a lot of real time fast feedback from my colleague, as well as a professor. And Saras is great, response to emails, text, phone calls, very promptly. And I think just being able to do that in a safe environment, with my classmates was really helpful. And we also got to pitch, our ideas as a part of the deliverable. So I also like that process because we all seen Shark Tank, and there was also some sort of mystery around it, right? So we also got to experience that. And we have some structure, and we were provided some tools to help should I have an idea that I want to run with in future. So overall, a very a good class to pressure test your ideas if you have something that you want to develop, and get feedback from your classmates. And as a part of the course, I actually got to talk to one of my classmates who is actually launching a company, and so I can be fly on the wall and kind of see exactly what he's doing, and also be able to advise, right, add a value to his company. So overall, a great experience.
Well, let's talk about the second leadership residency. So we had a couple of your classmates on the podcast not so long ago, Tiffany Piliphant and Andrew Harris. We talked about the town hall that was held for your class as the decisions were made to move LR2 online, and of course, final exercises not being in person here, but dates have been announced for potential in-person final exercises, one in October and one in May of 2021. So that's exciting. We talked about that with them. But I want to talk with you a little bit, I guess, more about what that second leadership residency, LR2, was like. Admittedly, I imagine y'all would have preferred to be in person, and that's understandable, just given the sort of emotional nature of that week. But how did things translate, Jonas? What was that week like?
Well, it was, of course, I can't hide that it was a bummer at the beginning that okay, we were all waiting for that last week together, like a capstone, let's say. And also, it was the last opportunity for all of us to be together on grounds. It was it was gonna be very special, but it's okay. I mean, at some point, at the beginning, we thought maybe by LR2 everything will be fine and we'll be in Charlottesville. But as things evolved, we started to see that wasn't gonna happen, and I think we all like adjusted quick. And I think also that the program, yeah, did a good job on putting together a week of classes and a week of sessions that really that made a lot of sense in terms of what we try to focus on the topics that we covered were like changing trends on how we work and and the jobs that we will do in the future, impact of new technologies, artificial intelligence, for example, what's bringing disruptive change to the job market, so it's financial markets, predictors of success. I mean, really interesting topics that are relevant now and will be very relevant in the future. So the design of the classes was really informative, but also provocative so we were able to break it down in small groups a lot and engage in conversation, bring back our conclusions to the groups. And I think that it was great to have those dialogues about those topics. And I think it was a good wrap up of the program. And we ended up doing also a final deliverable. And in my case, I did it with my with my original learning team. So it was a great capstone project for us because we really built a really solid friendship during the program. And I would like to share that we did a tribute to the podcast, Brett. I know you're aware of that. That we did this. Let's say one of my teammates, Matt Durenthal, one of my classmates, he has a very similar voice to you, Brett. So we did this video about like a podcast episode when we were talking about us during the program, or the challenges that we faced in LR1 or what we thought about each other. And then we imagined ourselves in 5 years, when we will have our 5-year reunion. And we try to project what we will be doing, or what's going to be our life in 5 years. So I think it was a fun and interesting last exercise, and we had a lot of fun, and it was a good way to wrap up the program and to bring all these thoughts together and what we have learned during the program.
We certainly appreciate the shout out, Jonas. It's flattered to have been included in your final deliverable. Bhavin, how about for you? What were some of the highlights of the second leadership residency?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, obviously with COVID, everybody was bummed that we didn't get to have a last, hurrah together and bring our families and enjoy the the moment together. But that's all right. The program team did a great job. And I don't want to take any names and leave anybody out, so I'm not going to take any names. But the program team, they did an amazing job in a creating experience, taking our feedback in mind, where they knew that a lot of us are already spending hours every day on Zoom for work, right? And working from home, and have families, and so to then throw another couple hours of Zoom on top of that, regardless of how good the content is just not feasible, right? I mean, you have to be realistic, and I think the team recognized that, right? They got our feedback, and we had a lot of flexibility in how we got to have that LR2 experience. There was option to consume the content at your own pace for individuals who couldn't really make it for one or many other reasons. But even with that options, what I found surprising was during each of the classes, everybody was there. You can see the count of people, and it was always, if I'm not correct, if I'm not incorrect, all the classes were full and everybody attended, right? And everybody was engaged, even though it was on Zoom. So you can kind of see that people recognize that the team that has done an amazing job. So let's all come together and do this to the best of our abilities. So everybody was there. In terms of content, we discuss a couple of different topics: artificial intelligence, disruptive innovation, and climate change, in a business post-COVID, and what that's going to look like. We talked about lean, ethics was a big one given COVID, and what you see with price gouging and some of the other challenges that we see all around us, and just general technology in the workplace, and prior to COVID, and how that's gonna how COVID is gonna then impact how we when we go back to work, how what the workplace is going to look like, and how this COVID may change how we work for decades to come. So overall, it was a great experience. And as Jonas mentioned, we also had a capstone project that we did. It was we did it with our team. We did we created a movie, short movie, and in which we looked 5 years ahead, 2025, and we're having a Darden reunion weekend, and we're just introducing ourselves to our classmates and just catching up on where we are at that point. So it was very visionary, and really also an exercise to kind of put myself in a position that I want to be in 5 years from now, and what are the steps that I can do to kind of make myself ready for that. So it goes back to why I'm studying for AWS. But overall, a great experience.
No, that's great to hear, and I know even though you were online, I'm sure it was nice to have that last week with your classmates. Jonas, when you look back on, gosh, all right, so it's been 21 months or so since you started the program. When you look back on who you were then, and you look to who you are now, you sort of take stock of it all. How have you grown or changed over this period of time?
Well, yeah, I've done that exercise, and I think that LR2 was also a very good moment to do that exercise, especially comparing it to how I felt in LR1, where, as I mentioned in the capstone project, I was really nervous. I wasn't sure that I don't know. I think we all were, because talking to our classmates, we all were nervous. We didn't have, I mean, of course we didn't know if we were gonna fit well, or if it was too much of a challenge for us, and thinking about how I am and now in LR2, I feel much more confident. I think that Darden has given me that confidence, and especially like whenever I feel, for example, whenever I encounter any issue at work, or is that the different new perspectives that I now can bring to the table. So we have studied ethics, finance, etc., etc. So now it's like I can bring, and back to the theme of the program, of the enterprise perspective. Now I can bring many more angles to any challenge that I face, and I think that is very much related to how the program is structured, and especially about the case method, because also I was just archiving all the Darden materials recently, and I was checking out all the cases that we went through. I don't know, maybe you have a number, Brett, I don't know, probably 200 or I don't know how many. But so I was thinking, oh, during all these months, I've been in their shoes and I've been wearing the hat of an investment banker, an entrepreneur, hedge fund manager, banker, and all these many cases had put me in the shoes of all these leaders. And I think that somehow like enriches a lot the conversation and gives you new perspectives on topics, on issues that you never thought before. Also, of course, listen to your classmates have and learning from them has been a great experience. So yeah, so I feel changed in that sense, that and now I feel, first of all, I feel ready to change jobs, ready to face new situations, ready to face new challenges, and I think that I can, I don't know, I feel empowered, and I can bring many new more perspectives to the table in a work scenario, let's say.
Bhavin, how about you when you take stock on your growth and progression over these 21 months, who you were to who you are now? What stands out to you?
Yeah, I think, there's a quote by Aristotle. It says something along like, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And I think for me, that's, and I'm not going to claim that I truly know myself. But it's definitely the Darden experience has helped that process. By the core courses, all the electives that I chose. And as Jonas mentioned, like, for example, in the first, after LR1, the first, during the Q1, I was going in and having never been introduced to case method, very, very, sometimes, and I would be like, oh my God, like, I don't think I've truly prepared for the case discussion. And you go in, and, I was focusing more of an exercise, right? And then I realized, as I got into it more and more, that, hey, I need to almost, as Jonas mentioned, like, be the person, put myself in their shoes, as if I was, the frontline manager or a hedge fund manager or an analyst, looking at opportunity in a country, right? So by, really embracing that experience and really, living that experience really helped me, see the opportunities and challenges, for each of the scenarios in each of the cases. And I think more equally importantly, we all 100, over 130, 120, 130 students, when we were together, both Charlottesville and Roslyn, or, whether we were in Roslyn, just, 60 plus students in a class, each of us we read the same case, but each of us brought different, we all had our own, takeaway. Right. So, and to me, that's recognizing that anywhere I go, whether it's a meeting room, boardroom, whatever, and any workplace, people are different. We all come from, we work in a diverse environment. So just understanding that, whatever situation we're in, everybody has a different opinion and also a different, takeaway. So just recognize it, and just being self-aware in those situations also helps you to make sure you're making the best decision by keeping all those perspectives in mind. The other thing, I learned, and I got two more that I want to talk about, is networking. Coming into the program, I was really focused on, hey, let me talk to a lot of people, as many people as I can. But as I was, learning more and more, with a couple of courses I took around leadership coaching and professional advancement. And I learned that, it's focus on a few, right, that matter. Not that, everybody that I'm reaching out that are not important. It's just, you only have so much time and effort and energy in your day. That, you want to build those, you want to devote that time to build meaningful relationship, right? And let's not go, go for the count of people that I'm going to be, networking with. Focus on the few that I will, love to know for the next year, 2, 5, 10 years, right? And that's kind of how my perspective shifted along the program. The third one I will say is, just, being aware of your surrounding, meaning just what's happening in the world. Obviously with COVID, it's amplified everything, right? Because, we now truly know the world is global, because we can feel the effects of the supply chain disruption, everywhere, you are in the world, whether in India, US, Italy, we are feeling the effects of that. So, we know the business is, globally connected, and we can, this whole process has amplified that, and we can kind of see kinks in the supply chain, and it gives you a lot of opportunities to kind of learn, right? It's happening around us. You can take the stock market, and you can kind of see what's happening there and learn from, and apply. If you're in a company where you're managing supply chain, this is obviously good time to to come forward and share your opinions and ideas. And the last thing I would say is, just, focusing on relationship in general, over cases. As important as cases are, initially I was spending too much time on the cases itself, and not really spending a lot of times, outdoor hanging out with my classmates. And I think if I had one advice, I would, to prospective students who are listening to this, I would say is focus on that. Take the time. Obviously, you want to do good and you want to get good grades, right? But after the Q1, find us, get your team, that you're gonna stick with, for at least the next couple of quarters, and build that solid bond, and have each other's back, right? And do hang out with other people and make time for others and help somebody out. And I think that's how you can really add value. You can really learn from others.
Yeah, I want to just mention again what Bhavin said about the self-awareness and especially I think that the class on professional advancement and and also the coaching classes really helped me to become more self-aware and to get to know me better, and also to get a feeling on how other people see me, and also to set up a plan for your career, or and being very structured on that, and having a methodology, and knowing that looking into the future, we also have career services, and we also have people in Darden that can help us for any transitions or any really that can help us continue that growth that we started in the program. I think that's a takeaway from an important takeaway for me, that I think I know myself better now after finishing the program.
So Bhavin, put you on the spot a little bit here. Would you do it again?
Yes, I would. I would probably take a break about 2-3 years, and take a nice vacation with the family, and a couple of us actually, we're trying to see if we can plan a trip together once we put the pandemic behind us. But yes, I would do it again. I would, like I said, as I talked about it just a couple of minutes earlier, ago, and I would take my own advice and tweak some of those things that I should have done, but I would definitely do it again.
How about you, Jonas?
Yeah, I would do it again. Actually, there's I think at least 2 of our classmates are starting new programs soon, master's degrees. But yeah, the only thing maybe I mentioned this in a past episode, that I would try to get into the global, instead of being EMBA, I would go global, because I really enjoyed our trip to India, and I think that I would try to get into the global program. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Jonas brought up a good point. So Jonas was part of the EMBA ExecMBA format. I was part of the GEMBA in the global, and we got to visit 4 countries. And I'm not sure what's happening with the 2021 and how this COVID is going to affect all the global trips. But I'm glad I'm glad I did it. I think it definitely gave me that global perspective that I was seeking. And I would say that I will definitely look to do another global course, or some sort of residency with Darden, if that's an option in future, because I think that really definitely changed my perspective, and definitely allowed me to see, a lot of the things that I didn't even know existed, in the business world and in terms of just culture. So it's just kind of good to, be out there, and put your assumption to test, right? And just see for yourself, and instead of just, looking at Google. And I think it's just good to kind of get out there and interact with other people from other cultures, other countries, and see how business is done, experience the culture for yourself. And I think you'd be surprised, how that helps you and changes your perspective for the better.
Jonas, you are not the only executive MBA format student who has said, if I had to do this over again, I would be a global executive MBA format student. Typically, once people go on one global residency, they want to do more. And so that is not an uncommon sentiment. Bhavin already kind of spoke to this, what he would do differently, or what a piece of advice that he would give his previous self about the program. I wonder if you had a chance to speak to that earlier version of you that was, getting ready to start school in August of 2018. What would you say to that person? What would you tell yourself?
Well, probably, I know it's a common theme too, that, because I was really, I wouldn't say obsessed, but I was putting a lot of time preparing the cases, and maybe during the residencies, I was that guy that was, I was going out for dinner, but then back to my room and, preparing for the next day cases. Maybe I would try to focus more on the networking with my classmates. I mean, there's still some guys in my cohort that I haven't spoken as much as I would like to. So yeah, I would tell myself, like, in LR1, hey Jonas, get ready for the cases. That's fine, but don't worry. You don't have to have it perfect every time, or just invest more on the relationships, invest more on the networking, because that's also that. I mean, that's one of the main takeaways of the program is the creation of the network and the relationships you establish with your classmates are. And yeah, I regret a little bit about that, but still, like, we're still in contact, and so I'm really focused on strengthening on the relationships. And I think that we will have opportunities, especially when this coronavirus situation ends.
Yeah, and actually, I would add, Brett and Jonas, more happy hours, right? I think that never hurts, and I think we should have been doing that from the get go. I think, with COVID, we're doing more virtual happy hours with their teams and our classmates. But I think that should be definitely a priority.
I'm glad to hear y'all say that. And not necessarily anything about happy hour, but the relationship element of it. We stress that with students as they're coming in, and that it certainly resonates with me. I mean, you think about why somebody picks Darden and chooses to come to this program. It's because it's experiential, right? You are going to get to hear from your classmates in class. Hopefully that forms the basis of your relationships that get reinforced outside of class. And at the end of all of this, you come out of it with 135 friends. So, Jonas, Bhavin, it's hard to believe here we are, our last podcast episode together. I will admit, when we first started down this road, the end felt kind of remote to me. The first time we sat together, you had started the program, you had LR1, maybe Q1 in your rearview mirror, and you were just adjusting to school. And here you are, graduation on the horizon, and obviously so happy for you, and so happy for your families and loved ones who've supported you along this path. We will absolutely have to record an alumni episode. We'll make that part of our plans going forward. But thank you so much for sharing your experience with our listeners. Richard Linklater had this movie called Boyhood, where they tracked a young man through sort of series of growth experiences as a youth. This is our answer to that, where we followed you over the 21 months of the program. Maybe not quite on the same level as that movie, but hopefully this at least gives some of our prospective students a glimpse as to what it's like to be a student in our program. And I know how busy you are, but the fact that you are willing to take hours out of your schedules for the podcast and to share your experience means a great deal to me, and I hope it means even more to our listeners.
Well, thanks to you, Brett. It's been a pleasure. And Bhavin and I really connected during LR1 because we wanted to start a podcast or to podcast somehow. So this was a great opportunity for us. And somebody mentioned it in one of our past sessions together. But thanks, Brett, also for putting together this amazing cohort. I think you did a great job. And we are listeners of the Executive MBA podcast, so we'll continue to listen to you. And if you need us, of course, it would be nice also to have like a reunion somehow episode into the future. And and we are available to any prospect students that please that have any doubts or really want to know more about what it feels to go through the program or anything. We are more really happy to help and to support our Darden community.
Yeah, I echo Jonas's sentiment. Everybody who's listening out there, prospective students, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to share any advice. And if you have any questions, I can be happy to answer them. And I actually I did mention in one of my episodes, I did have a son, while I was going through the program. So, I can, if you're trying to have a family or planning one, we can definitely chat, and I can share my experience. But Brett and Jonas, this has been a wonderful experience, to record this podcast, and hopefully we're getting more and more prospective students who are listening to this and finding some value, because this is our attempt to give back in a way, for what Darden has done for us. So it's kind of sad to say to goodbye. But definitely appreciate you, Brett, you making us a part of this journey. So thank you, and thank you, Jonas.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And we'll be there with you, even if not in person. We'll be there with you in spirit for the final exercises, and obviously celebrate your graduation with you. And looking forward to the next time we can be in person again. Best of luck to you as you take the next steps in your careers and on your professional journeys. And again, it has been a privilege spending this time with you on the podcast. So stay safe and be well, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was my conversation with Jonas Porcar-Ferrer and Bhavin Patel, 2 students in our Executive MBA class of 2020. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we are all ears. We can be reached at exec, that's EXECMBA, at darden.virginia.edu. And until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.